Whistleblowers who released the infamous Gupta leaks emails yesterday came out at the Daily Mavericks, the gathering in Cape Town. They say while their lives were put at risk by their action, they would do it again. Their bravery is something most South Africans still grapple with, but at least all is not lost. The government has created a safe space for members of the public who want to report corruption. For more on the corruption hotline, we are joined in studio by Public Service Commissioner Selina Nkosi. Selina, thank you so much for joining us as well, taking time out of your busy schedule to come and to talk to us here at Afro Worldview. First and foremost, Selina, we want to know how cases are reported, categorized, and prioritized for investigation. Can you enlighten us on that?
Good morning to viewers. Cases received through the National Anti-Corruption Hotline, where members of the public or public servants report anonymously. We protect the identity of the whistleblower because we don't want to expose the whistleblower to victimization at work or occupational detriment. So cases, when they are received by the early resolution officers at the call center, the early resolution officers are trained to ask questions because if there are gaps in the report, there will be no successful investigation. So there are questions that they ask so that we can have the whole information. What we do, once we receive the cases, we refer them to departments, but there are certain categories that are investigated by the Commission. That is irregular appointments and also irregular procurement. Those allegations are investigated by the Commission. We do have seasoned investigators appointed at the Commission who investigate these cases. But the other cases, some like service delivery cases, are referred to the departments for the departments to investigate. If we receive a case that has got a criminal element, that one is referred to SAPS.
Okay. You mentioned briefly that the whistleblowers are protected. I want to go into detail about that. How would a whistleblower be protected? Go into depth onto how that's actually implemented.
Whistleblowers are protected because we don't disclose the name of the person who has reported the allegation. And also, you have got an option when you report to the hotline, whether you want your name to be disclosed or not. But what we do, we give you a reference number when you report so that you can be able to call the call center to get feedback and progress on the allegation. We protect that you can report anonymously. And the people who are working at the call center are officials that are employed by the Public Service Commission, not by any other department.
Okay. So what happens in a case where a whistleblower is actually discovered, the name actually comes out by one way or the other? How do you then further protect that individual from further victimization in the workplace or whatever group he belongs to?
If it happens that the whistleblower's name is exposed, the whistleblower is exposed, fortunately now with the Protected Disclosure Amendment Act, Public Service Commission, it's mentioned now as one of the institutions where you can disclose and you are protected. In the past, it would be a challenge because you would find that we are not one of the institutions that has been mentioned in the PDA. But now, because we have been included, what we do, we once had a case where the whistleblowers were victimized. As a leader of the Integrity and Anti-Corruption branch, together with officials, we went to see the head of that department, where we discussed that these people are protected. And they are obliged to report when they see something going wrong in the department. Because if they don't report, it means they are party to that also. So we go and engage.
Okay, give me an example of the time period it takes to investigate a case to the time where individuals are actually convicted. What's that time frame? What's that period like? Give me a successful example.
It depends because cases are not the same. Some cases are complex and some are not complex. Just like to say, if we receive a case where somebody, just like in Department of Home Affairs, where somebody has accepted bribes, what we do, we refer the case to the department. But because most of the departments don't have that investigative capacity, they've got limited investigative capacity, it will take from 6 months to a year to investigate. But if it is something simple, that is not complex, it takes around 6 months. But when you find that the person has to be disciplined, so now it becomes a process, because now the executive authority they have to appoint the chairperson of the disciplinary inquiry, and you know that sometimes the sanction awarded, the person might appeal that. Then that's where it takes time. But if it is something simple, it does not take time. It takes 3 months to 6 months. But if it is a complex one, it will take 6 months to 1 year.
Okay, let me throw you a curveball.
Yes.
Do you think the corruption hotline service works in high-profile cases?
The National
and I mean high-profile cases.
The National Anti-Corruption Hotline, the cases that we have received, most of them are not high-profile. They are just cases happening in the department. But there are very few cases where you need that you find out that they implicate a high-profile person. Because remember, with the Public Service Commission, we deal with public servants. We don't deal with political office bearers.
Is that fair? Is that really fair? We're talking about, putting an end to corruption. And sometimes we need people in high places to set that example. Wouldn't you say?
What I say, if people come to report to us and you find that we don't have mandate over that issue, we refer it to the public protector. We've got an MOU with the public protector. So cases involving, just like political office bearers, we refer them to the public protector. But cases involving public servants, we do them ourselves and we refer them. But it depends with the people, whether people are aware whether there is the National Anti-Corruption Hotline, which is toll-free. Whether people are aware out there or not. Because as you know now, we've got financial constraints.
Right.
We cannot be going out and marketing the hotline. Right. So we depend on the stickers that are put on government vehicles and also with the pay slip of the public servants. But with the public out there, that's where our concern is. And I think that by coming to the studio and talking about the National Anti-Corruption Hotline, people will be aware out there that there is somewhere where they can safely report about allegations of corruption happening out there. Something that is happening of which we think that if they are aware that they've got this safe conduit to report to, they will be using it.
Okay, how do you prevent people from using this in a negative sense, getting back at people perhaps they don't like, or some people who've had an argument years ago and they use this as a stick to beat them over the head with?
Once we receive a complaint, we don't...
Basically, what I'm saying is, how do you prevent people from abusing this hotline?
They do. That's where I'm coming to. What happens, some will even insult the call center agents and think that they are also part of the corruption, you know, like, because people are frustrated out there. So they will insult them. Some, it will be drop calls. What we do, if a person reports an allegation, because it remains an allegation until it is investigated, what we do, we are having officials who read the case report from the system. Then if we see that it's vexatious, we will not be forwarding it. And if we see that it's a smear campaign, we look at it. We do prelim investigation also before we say, okay, this is something, because it might happen. Somebody will see you driving a beautiful car, being a government official, and say, SS Nkosi, it's corrupt, she's driving a Jaguar, forgetting that you are being paid. So we look at all these other things. We don't just say it's corruption and people have to be charged.
Okay. Now, I'd like your initiative. I like the initiative, the anti-corruption hotline. The positive about it is it fights corruption. The negative about it, to me, is that I feel that it's just mainly targeting the grassroots corruption, the common man, and it's not really attacking where corruption really lies at the top. I think we need to find a way to, attack corruption at the seat of power. Having said that, can you give me some instances where the anti-corruption hotline has actually led to people being incarcerated because of corruption?
It's just that when we refer something to the department, a case, we refer it to the department to be investigated. When it has been investigated, it's the department now that has to open a case after the disciplinary hearing, or if they have referred the case to SAPS. It's just that once we refer and receive a report that the case has been investigated, and we read the report and find that we are satisfied, then we will close the case. What happens after, when the department has opened a criminal case, if it involves irregular procurement, then we don't know about that. But if we receive something like that, the official has received a bribe, we refer it immediately to SAPS, because they are a law enforcement agency. With us, we cannot enforce because we don't have those powers. We do have successes, especially, as I've said, that as a Public Service Commission, we deal with public servants, where 3,623 officials were found guilty. And from these 3,623, 1,707 officials were dismissed from the public service. So that's why I can say it's working. Even if you watch the news with Department of Home Affairs, they have improved on their systems. You will see people being arrested at the border post, because people report to us about what is happening, then we engage with the department.
All right. Selina Nkosi, thank you for joining us, and thank you for talking to us about the anti-corruption hotline. Thank you very much.
Thank you.